Professor Daniel Meyer from the College of Business and Economics at the University of Johannesburg joins me now to look a little bit closer at the President's State of the Nation address. A very good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's just touch on what the President was saying just now, saying that those who've criticised him about him possibly appointing a Minister of Electricity are really misguided, because he thinks it's going to be a very useful and effective thing for us to have. What are your thoughts on this?
Good afternoon. Yes, I would say that our cabinet is already large in numbers already. We need to cut down on the cabinet, not adding ministers to it. So I don't see the reason why we should appoint another minister. There's already one or two ministers dealing with the energy sector. So another minister will cause more problems with coordination in terms of the energy sector. We need just to have all of the role players working together as is at the moment, Eskom with the private sector. I think there is solutions for it already. So to add more people contributing to this problem will create more problems for us in the future. I don't think it's a good time to have another minister.
Right. Of course, the energy crisis was his key focus, but I'd like us to look at other issues, if it's okay with you. So the President spoke about looking to set a new target of 2 trillion rand in new investments from local and international investors by 2028. How realistic do you think that is, especially given that the African continent is now quite a competitive landscape when it comes to looking to attract new investment?
Yes, I think the state president is living in a little bit of a dream world in terms of the investment. He's using the right words and so on, but the implementation is a problem. If we haven't got a good environment for investors and good, clear policy, you cannot attract investment. As you say, we are in a very competitive world. Africa is more and more competitive. Asia is very competitive. Even South America is getting more competitive, and we need to compete against those economies. And without good, clear policy regarding our electricity supply, our mining sector, our agricultural sector, our manufacturing sector, we will continue to struggle to attract investment. Investment can only be attracted to a secure, enabling environment with good policy. And at the moment, if we can rate our policy environment out of 10, it is close to 1 or 2. It's very low, the levels of that. So that's why we're getting very low levels of investment, and low levels of investment equals to low growth. Low growth leads to low levels of job creation and low levels of wealth creation in the country. So we're in that, let's say, a vicious spiral at the moment. The president is feeling that these roadshows and investment workshops is working, but overall people will not invest in the economy as it is at the moment with these constraints that we've got.
Yeah, it's well understood right around the world that the SME sector is a pivotal sector for economic growth and obviously job creation. And the President did touch on that, talking about the potential for small businesses, or at least entrepreneurs, to be given up to 1.4 billion rand through one of the development funds. Do you think that we're getting the strategy right in terms of how we invest in small businesses or entrepreneurs?
At the moment, South Africa's got one of the worst environments for small businesses to be successful. Huge numbers and percentages of our small businesses are closing down because of all of the red tape. Firstly, we did a study in Gauteng. There's about like 200 pieces of legislation for small businesses to comply with, and that is too difficult for them to comply with. And then you've got this additional problem with the electricity supply, which makes it nearly impossible to be successful and to grow as a small business. If we can remove all of these red tape and the electricity problem, those funds that is allocated by government will have a good impact. I'm not saying that is not good, it will have a good impact, but the basics behind being a successful business are not there at this stage, and we can remove those stumbling blocks. South Africans are innovative, hardworking people. And even with this load shedding, they're making plans now to get rid of it. We now all realize this is a long-term situation. that it's not going to disappear in the next few years. So we need to make different plans, and small businesses need to be supported to make that different plan. And households that is struggling also needs to be supported in terms of that. We need structural change, actually. We cannot have so many people depending on the government for social welfare grants. And our tax base is shrinking on the other side of the coin. So we need to have an economy that's growing and not having all of the millions of people depending on grants. That is not a sustainable model. So we need to get changes in terms of how we're getting people into the economy, inclusive growth, and not just giving out grants. We are keeping people, we're trying to keep them happy in poverty, and I don't think that is a long-term sustainable solution at the moment.
Yeah. Professor, one last issue. You talked about getting the basics right, and of course our municipalities are in a shambles, quite a lot of them. And there's always communication about improving municipalities, professionalizing the public sector and so on and so forth. Do you get a sense that there is the urgency needed in addressing this? Because obviously if municipalities don't work, small businesses can't work, jobs can't be created, and economic growth locally and, you know, more wholly around the country can't really happen.
Absolutely, 100% correct. The three main problems we've got at the moment is the load shedding, obviously. Then it's the economic growth that is another problem, but the local government sphere of government is in a chaotic state, to say the least of it. There's more than 60% of local municipalities are not delivering the services they should be delivering. And that's affecting everybody. It's affecting local communities, it's affecting business, it's affecting everything. And we cannot continue like that. So we need a rapid and very urgent turnaround plan. And part of that is obviously to appoint people that are committed, firstly, to be government officials that serve the people and not themselves. And cadre deployment cannot continue as it has been over the last 25 years. We need professional, well-trained people into key positions at municipalities that care for their specific regions. And the qualifications and experience is important, but commitment to local areas by those people are really the most important, that they do work for the people and not there for themselves. So that is the most critical part of our economic restructuring process, is how do we get the 257 municipalities working and delivering the basic services on a daily basis. We cannot allow people to pay taxes, but they're also fixing the roads themselves, they're fixing the sewer works, they're fixing the water situation, they do their own waste removal. That is not acceptable, and we need to have a turnaround strategy like that. The president did refer to the local government situation, but he has referred to it many times, and no action has been taken. So that is the problem we've got at the moment. We've got a president that's got the right words, and everything he says makes sense, but the implementation of that is not happening.
Yeah.
And he's surrounded by leaders that is weak leaders that must support him. And if you're a good leader, you are surrounded by strong, committed people.
All right, Professor.
That is currently our problem. Thank you.
Yeah, Professor, I hear you loud and clear. We're running out of time, but thank you so much for your inputs there. Professor Daniel Meyer speaking to us there.